Talking about chemtrails, transhumanism, black goo, and other agendas of the elite in vague, hazy terms and without a complete understanding of the big picture. And who could blame them? We know something's going on in these realms, and the truth is so well hidden, all we can do is fumble around in the dark looking for a light switch. Well, it seems like today's guest just might be the guy to flip it for us. His name is Harald 𝐊autz 𝐕ella, and he's made a very big splash recently with his presentations on chemtrails, Morgellons, and the black goo. He's also written a book with Cara St. Louis entitled Dangerous Imagination, Silent Assimilation, that dives deep into these topics with even more detail. It's a real honor and a pleasure to have him here all the way from Germany. Harald, my man, welcome to THC.
Hi there.
Hey man, thanks for being here. I'm very excited to do this. I think what I've seen and read of your work has done a lot to connect and clarify many of these campaigns against humanity that the shadowy power groups have in place. I know it can be a lot to unpack, but to get the ball rolling, let me ask you about the links between technology and black magic, because when we're looking at things like the rocketry program, the Manhattan Project, or NASA, I think we become aware that there is a link, but it still sort of gets lost in translation. What can you say to help us better understand this relationship in terms of some of the things that we're going to get into today?
I think this is a good opening point, because it clearly shows how distorted our view of the world can be. Because if you look into school books, if you look into what we learn about the world, the black magic thing is something ancient, that is for most of the people on this planet not practiced anymore, apart from some crazy guys who still play funny games. And we go to the computer store, buy the newest whatever. Yeah, then we think this is like two ends of one line. We're coming from the Dark Ages going into brilliant technological future. And actually, this is not correct, because technology has been around for ages. Technology doesn't come from humans. Technology has been out in space for quite a while, and other races have been playing around with this option to develop technology instead of spirituality. And from this, there are things around in space that have been influencing solar systems. Some people talk about entire areas of galaxies. And this is something that might happen. We can pick it up maybe first as a picture of possibilities. The first thing you need to understand is how biology works. Biology is like a biosphere plus a mirror of it. And the mirror is basically where the entire consciousness of all species within a biosphere is connected to an immortal, holographic, collective consciousness. And this is basically the soul of the planet. This is what we call Gaia, what we call Sophia for our Earth. It basically is the precise mirror of everything that is felt and thought on the planet. And this is connected, basically the body of this collective consciousness. We are of flesh and blood, and Sophia is of black goo. It is functioning very similar to our genetic system, just that it doesn't need DNA. It is completely sufficient to have a special type of a mineral oil dotted with gold and iridium in M state condition. And this is basically, we have the same pattern of M state matter spread within the DNA of any living being on the planet. And this is what is processing biophotons, and that is processing the morphogenetic field. And this is how basically the communication is guided within a biosphere between the mortal individuals and the immortal collective eternal consciousness, which doesn't forget a single thing that is happening on a planet. Now imagine, this is like every planet is built. And imagine a species is developing in terms of technological development, realizes how the system functions, starts to extract the collective consciousness from the inner of the planet, and starts to manipulate it in different ways, like adding programs, because this is about processing light. This is about quantum computing in a way. And if a species has developed possibilities of quantum computing, this is getting closer and closer to the core function of biology itself. So this is where basically the possibility of transhumanistic technologies is coming from. Unifying technology in a quality that is getting so close to nature that it can be fused. And this is something that you shouldn't do. I mean, it's every child could see you shouldn't do this. Try to get into a mirror. You know, this is messing everything up. A mirror is there to mirror and not to become you. And but there are limitations to it. And this can be understood in terms of angular relationships. Everybody knows, or most of the people, I guess, listening to the show know the flower of life. And there you have these 30-degree, 60-degree angles. And this is about the scalar wave patterns building up real biology. And if you look into technology, you rather play around with binary fields. You know, if you look into electricity, you have minus and plus, and that's 2, and that makes angles of 180 degree. And if you get a little bit more complex, you make it 90 degree. So every attempt to fuse technology and biology in the transhumanistic agenda makes it necessary to degrade biology to a binary system.
Okay.
Yeah. And this, as it looks like, this has been done on other planets. And the result was a complete self-destruction of these biospheres. And then we have a problem. Then we have a collective consciousness of a planet that has been infected by something introduced by mortal beings, that is panicky because it lost its biosphere by wars and self-destruction, and that would really, really love to go out to space and find a new planet to revive its biology in terms of individuals. But it is infected by these programs. It is infected, or not infected, it is depleted and reduced to binary field structures. So it has limited possibilities. When it might be able to still run machines, it might be able to still have surviving individuals from the biosphere. They are highly technological. They might have flying saucers and space travel or whatever. So now this entire mess is looking for a new biosphere. And instead of having a planet with the souls of the individuals running on top of it, we have like binary presentations of souls of individuals. And this is what has been called in mythology demons. And the entire game is about fusing these demons with the existing biology on this planet.
Right.
This is basically the agenda we have been facing for the last hard to say, for the entire planet. It has been the last 16,000 years. If you ask the question when this alien black goo, infected alien black goo arrived, it rather looks like 80,000 years. We don't have secured numbers on this,
right?
But there are different mythologies reporting different times of arrival.
This is pretty fascinating stuff, man. And just to clarify this paradigm a bit for people who might not have heard one of your previous presentations, I wanted to read this excerpt that's included with one of them so they might get a better understanding for what we're talking about. It seems like most planets might have this collective conscious black goo substance, but here we're talking about 2 types of black goo, one made by the Earth and another landed here by intention in a meteor swarm 80,000 years ago. Both are sentient and are designed to create life from the materials on a planet. In simple terms, they are seed devices. The intelligence that seeded the off-world goo is creating life that is bypassing the natural order, which is exactly what you were talking about, and bringing life forms to a higher level of order than they should naturally be. In this case, big spiders. Man, that is a lot to take in, but big spiders, spider-like beings, that sounds a lot like the Archons or what the Gnostics were trying to talk about, right?
Exactly. This at the moment we're kind of facing the outer surface of things. The Archons is what had been experienced by humans all of the time, and this was meant to be like this because they are pretty scary in appearance. You know, if you want to manipulate a stupid species like the humans, scare them very easy. Yeah, so we don't really know where these Archon type biology, the spider biology, comes from. It could be the morphogenesis of an extinguished species from the other planet. It could come from even planets that have been infected by the same thing before and before and before. You know, if this is spreading over solar systems and parts of galaxies, there can be a lot of memory within this alien black goo of older species that have been living somewhere and underwent these self-destructive programs. So we don't exactly know where the spider morphogenesis comes from, but for sure they are not living beings. And another thing that tunes in here, I for a very long time tried to understand what this reptilian thing is about.
Right.
Yeah, you hear a lot about it. You even have pictures of strange-looking beings guiding and guarding the U.S. presidents in public. And as it, I don't know, I don't want to say as it looks like. I got information that basically the thing with the reptilians is that the attempt to fuse the binary soul structure with the human body failed for a very long time. You know, they tried and tried and tried to get the demon hooked into a human, and it didn't really work. So at a certain point, they tried to modify the genetic code of the humans in a way that the demon structure can hook onto the human. And what they did is fuse human DNA with reptilian DNA to make it work.
Wow.
What happens basically if the demon is running the show in one of these, call it creatures, call it modified humans, either the entire morphogenesis changes, or at least in the communication with the humans around, the appearance changes, so that these modified beings can make everybody believe that there is a reptilian or draconian running the show. I cannot say for sure if this is real morphogenesis, or if this really materializes in matter, or if this only materializes in the consciousness of the people around. I cannot even say if there's a difference between the two, because everything that is matter actually is a projection of consciousness, you know, coming from quantum physics. So maybe it's one, maybe it's the other, maybe the two are actually the same, and it doesn't make a difference.
That's so interesting, because we definitely hear about history, an ancient history of genetic manipulation. It seems to be kind of what the elite have been about this whole time, and it's good that there's might be some type of explanation for the reptilian sector of conspiracy knowledge, and I think what you've just pointed out makes a lot of sense. Another thing I'm kind of curious about, because it's been such a part of history and the elite, is sacrifice. I mean, so many researchers talk about child sacrifice among the elite, or 9/11 as a mass ritual. I'm curious if you've uncovered how this works at all, because you mentioned biophotons, and from your presentation, it seems like this might be what they're trying to harness from people during these sacrifices. Is that right?
Yes, there are two different effects. utilized or effects we can spot. One thing is that this alien black goo with a modified collective consciousness, it needs energy, it needs batteries. And with the basically the frequencies it is running on, as a battery, as an energy source, it can utilize only emotional fields with very low vibrations. So it basically needs to create pain and fear to feed on.
Interesting.
And this is one part. The other part is that we might call it technology, we might call it black magic rituals. The techniques that this AI introduced on this planet has learned to utilize the bursts of biophotons coming out of beings when they suffer and when they die, especially when they die. The entire, if you go into biophotons, there are two parts. There's the visible pattern that you can observe in Kirlian photography. Mm-hmm. And there is the annihilated invisible part, which is, I would guess, like 97% of all biophotons within a human are invisible. And the moment a being dies, this light is losing coherence, and you get a burst of biophotons that is like an energetic shock wave that can be redirected and used for purposes. Mm-hmm. So basically, we have the two functions of stealing energy. One is to feed the internal intelligence, long range, and the other one is to achieve certain goals. Mm-hmm. You know, to kickstart a war somewhere or whatever. Right. You know, you need certain qualities bursting into people's systems, minds, emotions, feelings to force the agenda you want to force upon people on a planet. So this is done by rituals, and this has been done on planet Earth in an industrial scale. Mm-hmm. You still have ritual slaughtering of 10,000s of cattle in Asia. Yeah, and it's not Asia only. If you look into the mad cow disease, this is fire sacrifice mm-hmm. on industrial scale. It all comes from these black magic traditions. If you even just look at the daily tradition of eating meat, humans are vegetarians by nature. They have long, lower intestines. You know, animals that eat meat have short ones. The entire culture of scoffing burned animals. This is black magic. It is coming from black magic rituals, and it's all done to feed these energy systems. Mm-hmm. So basically, the entire culture of the planet is infected by traditions coming from this dark side of life.
Right.
And we just forgot about it. We are living it on daily basis, and basically, we are feeding an entity with it, or we did feed an entity that just wanted to make us suffer, to live from the pain.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about wars, and what's interesting is that through your presentation, I guess I've learned that the subtext for a lot of wars has been to test out their technology, and even an event like the BP oil spill was more about trying to get this black goo. Is that right?
No. Yes and no. The BP oil spill was about black goo because under the Gulf of Mexico lies the eye of Mother Earth. This is the big black goo reservoir that is receiving signals and is communicating with the black hole in the center of the galaxy. This is the central communication organ of Mother Earth. And this was punching her eye. Because as you know, there's a fight going on between Mother Earth and the alien black goo. So you can kind of try to strengthen the alien one by doing whatever you do. But also you might start disturbing and destroying the earth type field.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do to do this is, for example, punch her eye, that she's left alone, that she is losing connection to the central intelligence of our Milky Way. Let's say it this way. You can start stuff like fracking. Fracking is not about getting cheap gas from underground. Fracking is about destroying the ley lines.
Mm.
Because this is the physical body of Mother Earth.
Right. Man, that's so interesting to hear the subtext of all the different campaigns that are really going on.
You can really take for granted wherever authorities start to behave irrational. Wherever you have you ask the people in a democracy, do you like fracking or don't you? And everybody says, no, we don't like. Doesn't matter, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever people get what they don't want, you can be 100% sure that this is part of this agenda. Who needs vaccinations?
Exactly.
Who needs mercury in the veins of the children? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the demons, nobody else. And wherever you get this irrationality, just switch to the different agenda and to the other picture, and then it starts to make sense.
Right. I thought that was so well said. I've heard you say that in a previous interview, and it just makes so much sense. And you could tie this into all kinds of campaigns. People say, of course, they don't like GMOs, just like they don't like vaccines. Nobody wants a naked scanner at the airport. But these things are pushed on people with it really not much consent at all.
Yeah. GMO is 99.9 correlated. Sorry, not GMO. The glyphosate connected to GMO is 99.9% correlated to the appearance of autism. And the mechanism is that it is destroying the bacteria in the lower intestines. And with this destroyed bacteria environment, you cannot uptake mineral supply for the body anymore, which is switching off your liver at a certain point, which is giving way to heavy metal intoxication of the body, if the liver is stopping detoxing. This is what is giving you the symptoms of autism. And an autist basically is somebody that is so in pain within the body that the soul doesn't really incarnate. If it starts at early age, if you are in pain from birth on, basically, or from age half 1 year, the soul doesn't even go into the body. And this is very helpful if you are a demonic program, an artificial binary soul that is trying to get hold of a human body. It's very helpful if there's no human soul around in this body.
Right.
And I have seen autistic children with full demonic signature in their faces. And I've seen adults that were like half autists during their childhood, and they have basically, there are these possibilities to measure the frequency sets within the biological system of a person. And if you measure them, they have two signatures in one body. One is human, one is demonic. And they switch, make them angry, and they completely shift, not biologically shift, but from the expression of their faces and the potential of aggression they carry within them. They completely switch to a different type of being. And this is what had been planned for this planet. Chuck us out, get them in. And it is hard to say if we would have made it without external help.
You're blowing minds, man. And a couple of things here. To elaborate on what you're saying about autism, you're saying that they fine-tuned a chemical catalyst to sever the mind-body connection, put it in vaccines, something to push the soul or consciousness out of the body to make it easier for these beings to latch on, sort of like a campaign to make human husks for non-physical, multidimensional, archontic, demonic entities. I really think that's a perspective that makes sense, and I haven't heard these pieces connected quite like this before. But now that we've thoroughly freaked everyone out, we were talking a bit before we got on the air about everything that's been coming at you since the popularity of your presentations, and you've been contacted by what is kind of the flip side of this, but positive beings of higher intelligence that have taken physical form. And from what they're saying, it seems like these campaigns are slowing down and the game might be changing. I know you don't want to get into it too much until you've had time to process, but can you elaborate on these recent events and revelations just a bit?
I've been running through a funny period of my life. The first thing that I had to realize when I started to look at the topic of black goo, it was not me getting interested. It was the topic of black goo approaching me from various sides, without me even looking for it. A friend came up with the first documentary he needed to show me. It was not even a friend. It was a guy I saw maybe 5 times before. And he had to show me this video that was about the Falkland aspect of the black goo. And then people appeared among the friends of my oldest son who had been in contact with the black goo in Great Britain and had this connection to Mother Earth, and they didn't even know what was happening to them. They just wondered why they're talking to this being inside the planet on a daily basis. And I had an idea what to tell them. And like this, different samples of qualities of black goo from South America, from Himalaya region, from Eastern Europe, from Germany, just appeared at my place without me looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a quality where you start to wonder what's happening. Some people just call it synchronicities. Yeah. But I had a strong feeling that it somehow connects to my soul history, and I got more of the feeling that there's something to be solved, and that it's up to me to put the jigsaw puzzle together and bring a solution to a story that began long ago. And exactly the same way, like the black goo came into my life, and the way that I got the possibility to find sense in all these different details. A little bit later, the Ark of the Covenant started to pop up.
Wow.
And ask everybody all around the world, it's lost. And 3 of them popped up in my life. And I'm not in the position to talk about too many details, because people might get into danger if I tell too much. But actually, the one that we know reappeared, but the shadow governments decided not to have it published. Mm-hmm. And a second one reappeared in Great Britain. And another thing that, I had a feeling it could be like this, and I just decided to check out if you compare the mythology, the description, how this ark looked like from the biblical context. And if you compare this to what we can know about the box of the Pandora, you realize actually it's one and the same.
Wow.
Same type of wood, same size of the box, both having this angelic decoration on top, both gold-plated. And the good thing about the box of the Pandora is we know what is inside. It was all the suffering of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when they opened it, according to the Greek mythology, all the suffering escaped. And the only thing that was left on the bottom was the hope. This is what they say in the Greek mythology. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now try to bind this into the bigger frame. Yeah, I have to admit it is nothing that I put together. I was informed about it. We can come to this source of information later. I was informed about it that actually when the alien black goo arrived on this planet, it was not coming alone. It was coming together with those arcs. And basically the arcs were the batteries to kickstart the process on Earth. There were the batteries to feed the black goo with energy, kind of to run the central computer. And by opening one of the boxes, it was kickstarting the cycles of pain and evil, exactly like described in the Greek mythology. Because if you introduce suffering and pain into the veins of the collective consciousness of a planet, it appears within the beings. And what happens if there's suddenly pain within the consciousness of a being that is unbearable, that you can't just, it's too much, you cannot take it. Then the first thing you develop is a block within the system, and a block not to feel what is within you.
Right.
And this block, it becomes, in a way, it becomes subconscious after a time. And then you have the feeling that there's something bad out there. You try to block, you block it, you don't feel it anymore, but having the block still makes you aware that there's something painful out there. Right. And you project it to the reality. So this is the moment where you try to control reality. And this is actually what is giving birth to the free will. It is an energetic process within the body based on pain. And then, in a second step, humans forget what free will is. They think it's something great, they believe it's something to be celebrated. The only thing it is a very, very, very basically self-destructive act to avoid suffering.
Yeah.
And at the same hand, it is the source of further suffering, because the moment you disconnect from this ocean of pain, you disconnect of everything. And this is basically what we experienced as the deterioration of paradise. You disconnect from other beings, you disconnect from Mother Earth, you disconnect from everything, because everything is filled with this pain that was released from the box of the Pandora. And the moment you are disconnected, you stop feeling the pain and you are free. And this looks like a great deal for the first moment. But being disconnected means losing empathy. And losing empathy means that you start bringing pain to other beings, or tolerating that pain is brought to other beings. It makes us blind for all the things happening on this planet. I mean, whoever wants to go through the experience of what is happening on this planet, there's a beautiful movie, a documentary. It's called Earthlings, where you can see what we do to animals.
Right.
And I haven't seen a single soul that did go through this documentary and didn't come out screaming afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it reconnects you to empathy. And the thing is not, to go into this experience of pain. There's not much sense in it. But there is much sense in experiencing what this disconnection is we are living in. Because of the moment you can track down that yourself are completely disconnected from the creation.
Right.
The moment you realize what this means and what this causes, you can consciously make the decision to reconnect and to start again feeling what is happening.
It's almost like there's a parallel between the autism causing pain and causing a consciousness to disassociate with its body, and then the pain that was introduced to the earth that has caused humanity to sort of disassociate with everything external, with the earth, with the animals, with the whole ecosystem. There's kind of a parallel there, isn't there?
Brilliant. Yeah, I didn't think about it yet. I think you got it.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's not cool, but, you know, I like to think that this isn't completely over my head. But it is a big thing to kind of digest and unpack. But yeah, we are told free will is a positive, but it definitely seems like maybe it's kind of there's a mind game going on right there when you talk about free will.
Yeah. Free will is the short path to being pain-free.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the only thing you get from it. You know, from there on, you only lose.
Right. In your book, you and Kara talk a lot about creating your reality and imagination, and that there's a different way things are supposed to be here, and that we've given our power, you know, to the elite who have used black magic against us and have kind of taken that away. I think some people might incorrectly associate free will with manifesting reality, but these are, I guess, kind of two different things. It almost seems like this free will aspect is a bastardization of true creation, of true imagination, and the way the world is supposed to be. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I can try to go into details a bit.
Sure.
You need the flower of life type field geometry to manifest reality.
Mm-hmm.
The binary fields, they are around, they can communicate in a way, but they never create matter. They never create reality in the sense that a morphogenesis is created in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at reality from the perspective of the binary field structure, it's completely lost. It is powerless. It cannot create its own reality. The only thing it can do, it can manipulate. And it can collect experience about successful and unsuccessful manipulation. So this is all about predictive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it slowly learned to manipulate beings that have still the ability to create real reality. To manipulate those beings to create a reality that is convenient to the binary field structure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this brings us to the two different concepts that are run on this planet. One concept is control, which is basically a concept of the dark entities controlling everything. This is what politics is about. This is what money is about. It's all about control. Mm-hmm. So basically the entire field of culture that is control-based is demonic. And the other side is manifestation of reality.
Okay.
If we 100% align our heart energy, if we open our heart and align our thinking, the pictures run in our head with the heart and the feeling, this is described in the Bible. You know, it's not in the official version, but the apocryphs cite Jesus with parts of this knowledge. That this is what moves mountains. You know, this is what controls. It doesn't control. This is what manifests reality on the very basis of physics. This is what would give you the ability to make a being of flesh and blood appear in front of you because you created it in that moment.
Mm-hmm. So can they not use the power of manifestation to just create a biological husk for these demons? Can they not use that same power?
The thing is that you need your heart to do this. So creation is a thing that is possible only for a fully developed biology. The dark side cannot create anything. And it cannot create a new biology for the lost souls. It doesn't have the ability. So they are dependent. And another thing, they lost the contact with the source. They're disconnected from the central energy source, which you might call God, that is giving all the love the system is running on. And they cannot access this energy directly. So they are forced to steal, suck, and manipulate. If they wouldn't do this, they would run on lower and lower and lower levels of energy and finally disappear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you cannot even really be angry with them.
It's self-preservation.
I know what humans do when they get hungry and are about to starve. They can get ugly as well.
That's true. But man, that really puts a clarity on the subtext of mythology, biblical stories, of things like transhumanism. I mean, this right here might be the core of what all these different sectors are trying to explain.
For me, this is coherent, 100% coherent. All these things go together.
Right.
And also a lot of the old scripts, if you look into it, you can take it by examples. If you look at the description of the Garden of Paradise, you have this tree of life, and right and left of it, if you look on old Greek and Turkish coins, you find two black goo pillars made out of black goo schist. You can, of course, it's not written black goo on the coin, but these pillars have a certain shape, and if you compare the shape with other traditions, you find it's identical with what is called Shiva's lingam in the Vedic tradition, and a part of Shiva's lingam you will find in the big mosque in Mecca. Yeah, so this all connects, and if you take a chemical analysis of this black stone in the mosque of Mecca, this is alien black goo. And this goes back basically to every religious tradition we can remember as a species. The core of it is worshipping demons, worshipping black goo. And there always is a loving core within religions that can be lived by individuals. I don't want to, damn it all. But all the big institutions basically turned evil in their core. If you look at the Vatican, the walls of the Vaticans, how do you call the thing you put in between the stones when you build a wall?
Oh, the mortar?
The mortar is mixed with the ash of sacrificed humans.
Really?
This is how they build the Vatican, to make sure that the vibes of this building is soaked with this sacrifice energy.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and I know that every altar in older churches within Europe has a black altar stone, which is a piece of black goo, to make sure that you don't feel love within the building, but you feel something cold and powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, so they all have been playing around with this black magic bullshit. And as I said, the big mosque in Mecca, the Kaaba, contains a piece of black goo.
Let's switch gears here. We talked about the two forms of black goo and the spider-like alien AI that's crashed our earthly party. We've discussed the multiple campaigns aimed at fulfilling this agenda to help these beings manifest. We've painted a pretty grim picture here. But as you and I talked off-air, and we also touched on a little bit earlier too, you have been contacted by some positive players, and apparently the game has changed in some way, and we can kind of be assured that these campaigns will fail, perhaps? I don't know. I'll let you talk about it, but tell us a little bit about what you were telling me. What's changed in the last 48 hours here?
On one hand, it's a bit early. People are speculating about Wave X, which is meant to be the big energy push to ascension. How do you call that?
Ascension?
Ascension of humanity. This is scheduled for late September this year. And what people do believe is that basically this is a wave of energy coming from the photon belt of our galaxy, flooding the entire system with energy. This is wrong. This is our 3D perspective of things, where we think that there is something out there. The only thing that is out there is what our heart chakras project as reality, because we create all the matter. All the things we see around us is a projection of the little black holes within our heart chakras, which is us. This is the way how humans create. So basically, when you have a shift like this that apparently comes from outside, in reality, it comes from inside.
Okay.
It comes through the heart chakras. And if you look at the way this happens, this is something that comes by inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
If you know this from parties. There are those people who are on very low energies, and if they go to the kitchen on the party, after 2 minutes, the kitchen will be empty because everybody's feeling uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there are the other type of people that come in with very strong and high energies, and everybody feels attracted. And it is like an infection, This is how humans communicate with each other on energetic level. This is what all these the ugly games of sucking energy from other people is around. If somebody is undersupplied, we developed all these games we call culture to get hold of the energies of the others.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the basic rule. Now, if something huge is happening, like this wave X, this is also coming through the heart chakras, and because it is huge, it comes in a given order. And this is where we now this is where it's getting difficult, because if I now would say, or if I now say that higher beings appeared on planet Earth to put an end to the game, you have two fractions of people: the ones who believe in something like Christianity or Islam, and they will immediately say, if it would be like this, it would be my priest or my imam to tell me first.
Right.
Yeah. And there's the second fraction that does not believe in things like this. And they will not believe in it. So there's no chance to get through.
I understand the reluctance to say more, but I don't think a lot of this audience would fall into those two categories. I think people might be pretty receptive. We've heard about higher beings helping humanity before. It's not really that foreign of a concept. I think some people would like hearing about that.
Yeah, I just pissed them off by telling them that this is all demonic manipulation. All the ascended masters and all the gods of ancient times are demonic pictures created to abuse humanity. So sorry, they won't listen as well. This is difficult. We do have some experience, especially within Christianity, where we talk about, how do you call that in English? Mother God?
Yeah. Are you talking about angels? Guardians?
Yes. When angels is a little bit difficult because we have the fallen ones as well. The ones on top of the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
They are experienced as angels, and they are from the demonic side as well. These are the fallen ones.
Okay.
Most of the communications we have, what we call archangels. This is demonic, but there are a few beings like Maria, which is the mother, and Jesus, that was the son, that do come from other spheres, that do come out of different creations of God. We are mainly human of biology. And they are other spheres with other creations of God that actually do not incarnate at the moment on this planet, but they are available as souls. And some of them do incarnate in human bodies.
Okay.
To help us through the game. We might at this point call them the guardian souls of our planet, and some of them even of our creation.
Okay.
Of the entire universe. And they do incarnate from time. No, basically, they always do incarnate. They're always here, but most of the incarnations remain unseen because nobody liked them. Basically, they have been killed faster than they had a chance to grow up during the last 2,000 years. Some of them made it, and we know them from religious mythologies as special people who had the ability to be seen as higher beings. This is not about you. You're proposing something, and you're more powerful, and you get followers. With these beings, it is like they just show up, and they talk the truth, and it is so powerful that whoever listens realizes this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not because the truth is kind of beautiful. Mainly, it is very painful. But the quality of speech is different. The quality of speech, the quality of appearance, and the ability. Look into the life of Jesus. He's been chucking out demons of people on industrial levels.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 10 treatments a day because he was the only one who could see them, who could grab them, and who could tear them into pieces without getting affected by them.
Mm-hmm. Like an exorcist.
Yeah, but without tricks.
Right.
With his full physical presence and with his, let's say, energetic arms and the abilities of the soul that is then much bigger than the physical appearance. And this is what this type or this group or this type of holy people are like.
So do we see them stepping in to stop this agenda?
We do see them stepping in, and they realize that basically we have been on the brink of going into a second cycle, big cosmological cycle of dark ages. And they just had a close look at the pain and fear already accumulated within the human consciousness during the last cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The cycle is 16,000 years. And the thing that we mounted upon ourselves during these last 16,000 years are so evil, so heavy, so painful, that we would have had no chance to get rid of this out of our own abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we would have managed to not fall to transhumanism, which I'm not sure about, even if we would have managed to stop the war going on, still within the energetic structure of the entire race of the planet, there was so much evil accumulated that it would have been taking thousands of years to get rid of it in a state where we add to it even. So this was hopeless in a way. And they decided to use the end of this cycle, which is in this September, to put an end to the game.
Wow.
By deleting all the reservoirs completely. Everything is deleted. Nothing is left apart from the amount that is visible within the actual life of people. So basically, everyone who is incarnated on the planet at the moment, this is what I have been told, is carrying a full picture of what he has been going through in these 16,000 years. All the important constellations of people reappear in this life. Everybody is actually facing an abstract picture of the topics he has been working on in these times. So basically everything is there in this life. And if you manage to make your peace in this life, the rest is taken from you by mercy, by an act of mercy.
Okay.
And this is a process that I've been told is going to take about 1 year, until all these learning processes of what is left within this lifetime is going to be finished. And this is something coming through the hearts.
Wow.
This is not coming through the head and the egos have nothing to say and nothing to comment and nothing to control in this process. The energies are coming through the heart chakras, and if the egos refuse to take the lesson, they will suffer. There will be a lot of suffering, not because there's a lot of evil or, it's not necessary. The suffering is not necessary to get through the process. But it appears when people refuse to go through the process.
Right, right.
And this is started in, this handing on of this higher frequencies, energies within the heart chakra is following a kind of natural order that is in a way dependent on the time you have been incarnating here. So the oldest souls on the planet will start to get into this state of heart first, and they will hand it to the ones who came after them. This is like in the Asian tradition of looking at family structures, where you really, really look up to your ancestors and honor them. It's something of this quality. And this order will show up on its own. It's nothing that is kind of pushed upon us. People will recognize who was here first, who is an older soul and a wiser soul, and they will be happy to realize this. Because there is a natural order to things that can be just acknowledged.
Right.
And in this order, the energies will spread through the heart chakras of all the people on the planet, and everybody will be creating the lessons he will need to learn within his daily life. And at the end of the game, basically, all it needs is to forgive yourself. And if you realize what you've done, just by comparing your actual life and the things, the misdeeds you did in your life on all the different levels, you can do misdeeds. And this starts, this starts with stupid stuff like eating meat and not looking at the suffering of the animals who are mistreated to produce this meat. Everybody will need to go through this just to start with something, Realize what we have done to all the other creatures on the planet, going into their pain, feeling it from inside, and saying, I'm sorry, and then it's okay. This is all that needs to be done, to realize what we did and ask for forgiveness. And then it will be given in a way. And this is what opens the possibilities to change things on the planet. As long as we reject it. As I said in the beginning, rejecting pain is the same thing as having a free will. And as long as we are having this free will, the free will direct us into rather reproducing the pain than solving it. Because it is about rejecting it.
Right. So I guess starting this September, it seems like we're going to undergo a year-long process where we will see the tide turn from this dark agenda to something more healing?
I would not suggest to people to look into the outside world. I would suggest to people to look into themselves. Try to find out what is changing within yourself. It's much more fruitful.
Okay.
Yeah. basically the process started 4 weeks ago. You have measurements of this. You know, there are biophoton measurements reflecting the intensity of heart energy on the planet. And this is beyond being describable, what is happening to these levels. You know, at the beginning they had it logarithmically, and then they just, it was escaping the borders of the papers to, when you try to paint what is happening. So they started to find ways to describe it even in, percentage of growth per day in logarithmic scaling. From today to tomorrow, it rises by 600%. From tomorrow to the day after, it's already 60,000%. And this in the logarithmic scale. So there are incredible things going on this energetic level. And it is doing things to people. Mm-hmm. I opened my ears to people in my environment. They cannot sleep at night. They have intense dreams, pushing up topics. They wake up in the morning, it's still dark in the room, and they have light appearances over their body. Not knowing where it comes from. Crazy stuff is happening with every single individual. Just ask them, talk about, talk with your neighbor what is happening to you and asking what is happening to him. This is all coming from inside. And the earlier we realize things are happening, the more time and the more possibilities we have to deal with it in a proper way. Mm-hmm. And once we know the direction that it is about dissolving the ego, dissolving the attachment to the emotional bodies, to the stored pain, then we realize that the things we are experiencing, they do not need to give us a fright. It is the best thing that can happen at this point of the history, to go through this, to experience this. Nobody needs to be afraid of it.
Okay.
And maybe to give you an example of what is happening, I should talk on personal level. I am bloodline.
Okay.
And I have, within the bloodlines, you had all these tradition of ritual child abuse, and people were setting unbearable pains within the bodies of their children for hundreds, thousands of generations.
Right.
And I have this in my epigenetics. I was not brought up in this tradition. My family is out of this bullshit for 7 generations, but I still had the full signature of it within my physical system. If I would have been going to a doctor age 17, he would have told me you have been abused from all the symptoms I had, mm-hmm. which I never was, not on the physical level, but my genetic system had the epigenetic memory of these things happening for thousands of years. And the result was that I couldn't feel the lower part of my body.
Wow.
Which gave me a strong will. Your brain only. And I realized this a few years ago. I wanted to learn to give a good massage. And the teacher was gifted in all kinds of different healing techniques. So she used a craniosacral trick to put my back straight. And I started screaming, and I didn't stop. It was like diving into an ocean of pain that had no beginning and no end.
Jesus.
And she listened to it for 20 seconds, and then she closed intentionally the channel because she waited for me to stop screaming. I couldn't. And I always was kind of looking for possibilities to go back onto this slot to dissolve the problem, from the basic, to solve it where it was laid. Mm-hmm. As a problem. And I never, ever could again access this experience or this energy. I had a hard time to understand what it is. And as you can guess, I am in contact with the people I've been talking about as higher beings.
Okay.
And they contacted me to help me going through the process. Because I am one of the older souls, one of the ones where it starts with, where it started to go into the bad direction. I have a lot of karma from these times, and I'm one of the first to dissolve it the other way around. So they helped me through the process to get my own heart chakra, my heart activity and my system clear of all the bullshit we collected during those 16,000 years. And we did this via remote healing. And at a certain point he said, okay, now I'm going to break your will.
Oh.
And he did it. And I said, yes, please do it, because we've been working with each other for 10 days at that time. And everything he did was painful and delightful afterwards. And he exactly knew everything about me without me telling anything. And at a certain point, it was necessary to reconnect me with the lower part of my body and to go through the pain coming from my bloodline. And he just broke my will by remote healing. And I don't want to give you a picture of what I looked like while it was happening. And then I realized by just feeling it was what free will actually is. It was exactly the thing disconnecting me from this painful history.
Wow.
And this is a way how it feels like. There's nothing beautiful to discover from these 16,000 years. We didn't create any beauty on this planet. We just went through the experience, what it means to be disconnected from the source. And the experience we collected wants to be felt. And this is where we're going through now. So I would expect a lot of painful...
people have to face the music.
Yeah. We will have to face the music, and the moment we realize it and we reestablish bit by bit of the natural order of things, it's a big relief.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so this is what I just can say, that this is going to happen to every single individual. And the earlier we accept to let go of the bad constructs we were running on, the easier it gets.
Well said. That's, I think, a good place to leave people with. I think ultimately the message is positive then.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I had one little Facebook conversation, because I started to put out like web diaries on what is happening at the moment. And in one of the web diaries, I just stated actually that evil has won the game. And what we face now is an act of mercy. And I could see people protesting. You know, they still want to manage to get it done out of their own abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're really good people around that have all the good wishes you can have as a human. And they want to manage to do it on their own without help. Yeah, and there you can see the ego program ticking. Yeah, I want to be proud of myself, right, to define who I am. And there you can see the first trap. No, evil has won. We got it all wrong because there was no other solution than getting it wrong. Once you drop natural order, everything is distorted, and this is what we needed to learn. And now we need to digest the lesson. This is not joyful, but necessary. And afterwards, joy can come back.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It will be.
I can't wait, man. But I do think that is a good way to say it. Evil has won. We've been dominated. The elite have run amok, messing with a lot of negativity and forces they shouldn't have. And now perhaps these guardians or higher entities will step in and call the game, like some sixth graders that are losing 50-1, or even more so, a parent who sees their kid reaching out for a hot stove and lets them get burnt, so they realize you can't go touching hot stoves. Then they lick their wounds and tell them not to do that anymore. And they've learned a lesson.
Yeah. And what they do, it is not about, I don't want people to get lazy, because whatever has been created during this lifetime remains. Nobody is going to carry the sins of our lifetimes. This is something we need to go through on ourselves to learn the lesson. Mm-hmm. This is not what is taking away from us. But all the burden from all the epigenetics, from the further the prior generations, all the thing that has been accumulated within the black magic industry, this is deleted. The black goo signature is deleted. The Archons, the original fallen angels, have been captured and brought back to God. They're not around anymore. They don't have the possibility to invent new tricks on us. This is all gone. Now we have to face ourselves. The way we are set up during this incarnation, because this is a mirror of all the past incarnations we had, with the same topics, the same temptations, and the way we act during this lifetime, whether we fall for the temptations or whether we go into the evil part of the game. In a way, this is how judgment will be. So basically, we are facing the judgment year now.
Wow.
And nobody is in this. Nobody will be in this situation to fall for the evil without being warned. Mm-hmm. On this part, the creation still is a fair game. Everybody's warned before he's taking bad decisions. Mm-hmm. By inner feelings, by people giving good advice. And it's still upon us to decide.
Well said. So I guess people need to just listen to those inner voices and reject the alien black goo. Awesome. Harald, this has been amazing. I know we barely scratched the surface. We could talk about it all day. It's such deep material. Of course, people can dig deeper in you and Kara's book, Dangerous Imagination, Silent Assimilation. That gives a lot of the background to these campaigns, the negative stuff. Any other websites or any other work you'd like to steer people towards before we call it in?
Whoever is in medical problems with the transhumanistic technologies, we have one website. It's called timeloopsolution.com, where we display the medical development regarding Morgellons disease, regarding old age degenerative disease, which are also transhumanistic accidents. There's a nice development we did combating the Spanish flu that had been developed by US militaries as a weaponized form. And we were not sure at a certain point whether this is released in Ukraine or not. So there is a development to this. All the medical things are on timeloopsolution.com, and we have problems with advertising things and selling them on the same spot because the pharmaceutical industry would chop our heads off if we do that. So you can get the pure information on that website, and somebody else is selling the stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because we are not allowed to market things that are not coming from the $10 million based medical experimentation on animals done by pharmaceutical industries according to the laws they have whispered to the politicians to protect the money business. Fuck these assholes. So we have limited possibilities, but whoever needs medical solutions can get informed over there, and there's a contact form if questions arose. This is one thing. The book you mentioned with Kara, it describes the field, all the things we've been talking about today. the new stuff is not in there yet.
Right.
And because it just happened during the last weeks. So don't expect Arks of the Covenant in this book and higher beings. But all the field before is displayed in a very scientific manner. So everybody who is working on these topics professionally can go for this book, because we fully describe the physics they use and the technologies they use. And it has two parts. One is the conventional social engineering, creating Arabic springs and other bullshits. And the other part is the chemical, biological part with the transhumanistic technologies and how they are developed, how they are used, and what side effects they have. So this is on a very high scientific standard. And yeah, that's basically it, the two things.
Yeah, I definitely loved the book. I had to read big portions of it twice just to try to understand it. It's definitely very dense in your sections, but it is great. It's 400 pages of awesome. So I definitely advise anybody to check that out. Kara is great. I've been talking to her. We're going to do a show next week or so to follow up on this, but very cool, man. Thanks again. A real honor to have spent some time with you. I really love the research and your approach to these topics. Just great stuff. And it